with Trump, and Andrij Dobriansky is here. It's great to have Andrij on a day like this, chair of UN Affairs for the Ukrainian World Congress. And the other thing I thought, good to see you again, that stood out about Zelenskyy, because everyone was talking about whether these long-range missiles, Tomahawk missiles, would be part of the conversation today. He said they were. But then he said, I'm not going to say anything about what we discussed. So interesting. Where do you think
More importantly, he said, first, I'm not going to talk about it, but then he clarified that they did talk about it. So that's a good thing.
Right, that they spoke about it. He just didn't want to say what they had discussed because there seemed to be some fear on the Trump side that things could be escalated even further.
Well, I think fear on maybe some people in the Trump administration, not necessarily President Trump. He's been the one talking about it. So it's been President Trump bringing this up. This is why we're expecting some news. And it's not, as he mentioned in the press conference yesterday, ribbing Putin about sending thousands. We know we're talking about maybe 50, maybe 100. And that's the game changer, because it's not just that we're going to target, Ukraine would target Shahed or drone facilities that Russia has deeper in the Far East, but this makes a game changer for all of Europe. Trump is going to say, listen, I just put down a 1,000-mile rocket on the table. Right. Where are your Taurus rockets, Germany, that you've been hanging over Ukraine, not giving them? Where are your other munitions that you promised them a while ago? So this is a game changer in terms of diplomacy with other countries.
If it happens. Now, on the tablet, let's bring this up, the specs that Andrij is referring to surrounding the Tomahawk and what it can do. This guided missile can be launched from submarine ships, and you see the range, 1,550 miles. And
I think those are the Block 5. So let's say we're going to give Ukraine the Block 3, which we used in Iraq in 2003. That's about 1,000 miles. But the important thing you started
still would be very, very effective for Ukraine.
But the thing you started with, of course, is launch from ships or submarines. We're not going to be doing that from Ukraine. So one of the interesting things that the Prime Minister was here in town and Zelenskyy is that there's a new mobile system that's at the AUSA now that could be included with this discussion. So if Ukraine gets this, let's say there's a training period, there's testing out this new mobile system on land. We're not talking that this is going to be deployed in November, maybe even by the end of December. But again, let's think about how this changes the game in terms of Putin. Are you coming to the table? Or Europe, are you increasing your supplies?
It's interesting from Putin's point of view. Now he has this meeting, not exactly on the schedule, but planned with Trump, right, in Budapest. You roll your eyes.
You know how my opinion about Putin and showing up at meetings, because he skipped one in Istanbul, but he showed up to Alaska.
Right, but if this meeting now, there's a couple of options. We were talking about it last hour. Dan Baer was on and made an interesting point. It's like, well, Trump could give the Tomahawks before the meeting, and that would put the pressure on Putin. Now, if he doesn't do that, then what? Because that, it seems to me, would allow Putin to drag this thing out even further.
The one thing that Putin has done consistently is not just rebuff Trump and not even give him a ceasefire. It's been 225 days since Ukraine agreed to a ceasefire. The one thing that Putin has done is always when he calls Trump, that night he issues a salvo against Ukraine. He did that during Alaska meetings. He did that when the European leaders were in the White House. He did that when, every single conversation. He's going to launch something tonight. Trump wants to be in a room with him or in a conversation where he knows Tomahawks are being sent against Russia. I think Trump wants to flip the tables on Putin.
But Trump knows Putin's trying to play him. They asked him, oh, is he trying to play? They asked him today, and Trump said, I've been played by the best of them over the years. That's what he said. And he knows that that's what Putin's trying to do. That doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to handle it the way you want him to handle it. But he's been in negotiations before, mostly business negotiations, but he seems to have a sense here. And
he's got options on the table. Don't forget, Jon Stewart just brought up sanctions again at the beginning of the week. So there was a letter from the Congressional Ukraine Caucus just put out yesterday, bipartisan letter. They mention exactly what we're talking. Let's give them Tomahawks or something longer range. Let's do the sanctions to cut off the ships that are at sea and all the oil prices there. Then they also mentioned what Melania did with the stolen children, and let's work on legal pressure that way. It's got to be a full court press, not just one thing.
For those that weren't with us, we had it live, and you referenced this already, but when Zelenskyy was at Blair House a few minutes ago, this is how he put it with regard to what we think are the Tomahawks, but the long-range missiles. Zelenskyy.
Then we spoke about also about long range, of course, and I want not to make statements about it. We decided that we don't speak about it because nobody wants, you know, I mean, this United States doesn't want escalation and etc. So, I mean, this we will be out of the questions about it, out of the answers, sorry, about it.
I remember at the beginning of the war, Zelenskyy wouldn't necessarily speak as much English as he does now. It's risky to do so because sometimes if you don't, but he did a good job there of kind of, you know, making sure that he was clear in his message. I thought that, hey, listen, we talked about it. Yes, you knew I would ask, but
But, and again, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be interesting how they handle this. I mentioned that it's a conversation started with Europe. It's also something, you remember yesterday when he was in the, Trump was in the Oval Office talking about the Tomahawks, very deadly, very lethal. And he knows that why. He used them in this first administration against the Wagner Group. He used it against the Houthis and got a deal there. He used it against Iran during strikes. He got them to the table too. Let's just say Tomahawks are a way to bring people to the table, and Donald Trump knows that.
We'll see how it plays out. Andrij, it's good to have you on. You feel pretty good about where things stand now?
I think better than I felt after yesterday.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Thanks. We always appreciate it. All right.